Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Indian Yarnivore. If I sound a bit nasal today, I apologize. I'm just recovering from a flu. Today I'm very excited to review for you another new yarn that has released on the Indian market. This is the 4-weight yarn, the Aran weight yarn from Hobby Store. I purchased this yarn off magicneedles.com. I was alerted to the availability of this yarn by a WhatsApp message that came from magicneedles.com, and I couldn't believe my eyes because here was another 4-weight yarn releasing on the Indian market. As you would be knowing if you have been crocheting or knitting for a while, we do have lovely 3-weight yarns, but there is a shortage of variety when it comes to 4-weight yarns, and the ones that are available like the Ganga Soft and Strong don't have a very large variety of shades. As soon as I got the message, I ran over to the website to check out the number of shades that were available, and I was stunned. They've come out with almost every shade under the sun that you would want. I think there's about 51 shades of this particular yarn. Purchased it at the introductory offer of 150 rupees for 100 grams of yarn. I couldn't contain my excitement, but I ordered just enough yarn to get free shipping on my orders, and that turned out to about 4 balls of yarn. I selected these colors, and I have this beautiful maroony shade, then I have a lovely mauve shade, then I have a shade that was described as sage, I think, on the website, and then I have this beautiful navy blue. So I have about 400 grams of yarn, and I hope I am planning at the moment to combine all of them into a single project. Now let's proceed to the interesting bits, and let us take a closer look at the yarn label. So it has the Hobby Store logo. It says it is an Aran yarn. Aran means a 4-weight or a medium weight or a worsted weight yarn. It is 100% premium acrylic, and it is also anti-pill. The color that I'm holding in my hand right now, it's pretty true to the shade that it actually is. Maybe in reality it is a shade darker. The shade is called mauve. It is about 100 grams in this ball, that is about 190 meters. The yarn is made in India, as we know from the other Hobby Store reviews. The mauve color, if you really want to know the shade, is 2039. The actual MRP is 225 Indian rupees. The dye lot is mentioned on this, and it was packaged in September 2022. It has the Ecotex label and the standard 100, so that is an indicator of the quality of the yarn and that it has been tested for the presence of harmful substances. Now, the care instructions for the yarn state that it is machine washable. It can be washed in a cold and gentle cycle, can be put through cold tumble drying, should not be bleached, should not be ironed, and preferably it has to be dried flat. The yarn label has all the use instructions. It has the gauge of stitches given using the tools that are mentioned, which is a UK 5 to 7 size knitting needles or a UK 5 to 7 size crochet hook. It's a medium weight yarn. So that is the information that we can gather from the yarn label. Next, let's talk about how this yarn feels. As soon as I took it out of the packet, I was excited to know how it would feel in my hands. And it feels quite soft. One comparison I could say with the Ganga Soft and Strong, which is my favorite worsted weight of yarn, is that this has a matte appearance. It doesn't have the sheen that the Ganga has. But that is definitely a personal preference, and I think it is very nice that we have an option of having a sheenier yarn compared to a more matte looking yarn. So all the colors of this, I will show you a close-up of each of these. So all the colors of this particular brand has a matte appearance. Now if we take a closer look at the yarn ball and at the yarn fiber, we see that there is very little pilling. There is very little fibers that are coming off it. So since it claims to be an anti-pill yarn, I would expect that there's not much of a yarn halo, because that is what is eventually going to collect into yarn pills. The feel wise, like I said, it's quite soft. I think we could very comfortably wear this against the skin if you're planning to make any hats or scarves or sweaters out of this. Next, let us proceed to crocheting up a swatch, and I'll get back to you. I've used my 5mm crochet hook, which I think, that's my 5mm crochet hook, and I think that's a very apt size for my tension and for this particular weight of yarn. I have to say, it feels really nice and thick and substantial when you're working up this yarn. I just did a simple swatch of a few rows of single crochet and a row of double crochet. Now, I found it quite comfortable to work with. There was no pulling, no tugging, no splitting of the yarn, even if the fibers are not very loose, very tightly wound. Let me just show you a demonstration of how I'm able to crochet with this. As you might have been able to see, I didn't face any issues with the yarn catching on the hook or being split by the hook. Now let's also pull out the stitches and see how easy it is to frog this swatch. It's pulling out really easily. I didn't expect any problems because we don't have a lot of loose fibers there in this yarn, so it's pulling out like a dream. Another point I wanted to mention was there was a strand that was on the outside of the ball that was sort of leading into the center. So I kind of thought that was the center pull, but actually it is the outside end that is tucked into the center of the ball, and that is what I started crocheting with. Let me just see if I can also find the center of the ball. I went ahead and worked up a tiny knit swatch for you. I just did a few rows of stockinette stitch, and you can see that the definition is actually quite pretty. I used my aluminium number 7 knitting needles, and it was really a dream to work up. It works pretty fast. It goes smooth on my aluminium knitting needles, and this is what the pearl side looks like. Let me also show you a close-up of the other shades that I have purchased. This is the shade that's called navy blue. It is slightly deeper than what it is showing up, and it is a true navy. The best part about these yarns were that the color number is 2010. They appear pretty true to what they look like on the website, so I think you wouldn't have a problem on receiving the yarns. The next shade that I purchased is the shade that's called Claret Red, and it is also a shade darker than what it is seeming like on the screen. The last shade that I purchased is this sort of sage green. It's like a gray green mix. I don't know if it looks gray to some of you. The shade is called Green Almond, and the number is 2018. So concluding thoughts on this yarn, I have to say it is perfectly satisfactory. It's a lovely yarn. I think you're really going to enjoy working with this yarn. It feels really great in the hands when you're working with it. I haven't made any projects out of it. Once I do, I'll surely update on the channel. If I give them a wash, I'll also tell you how it fares in the wash. But I have a lot of faith in Indian acrylics, and I don't think this is going to disappoint me. So I'm actually pretty excited to work up a project with these yarns, and I'll surely give you an update on them. So do try this out if you can, and if you do let me know in the comments below what you have thought of this review, and what you think of the amazing shade range that is present. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later in my next review. Bye.